I'm going to try my best to convince you that the D200 is the perfect travel camera. It has three key components that I think lend to this area very, very well. Better than any other camera in its class. At first, this video was going to be about comparison. The D200 CCD sensor versus the D700's CMOS sensor. But I found myself after these 4 days continuing to pick up the same camera over and over again. So the new idea for this video is me going through my 4 days in Montreal while also describing to you those 3 reasons that make this such a great travel camera. Also during my time in Montreal, I found that a few of my photos had a similarity. And I have a photo project that I'm going to move forward with. Reason number 1 actually clarifies something from my last video. I mistakenly said that the battery wasn't very good. And now that I've swapped out my third-party battery for another one that I I've had no problems at all. This camera, much like the D700, can last you all day with no problem. I still haven't swapped out my battery taking photos even after this trip. Of course, this being a fantastic point because you don't have to miss out on any opportunities or feel extremely scared when traveling with this camera. It's something that lends to most DSLRs, but this one is truly beautiful when it comes to the images, so you'll be even happier that you only need one battery and one charge. We went to this gigantic orange juice spot. And my favorite shot that I got when it comes to representing this size and also having some form of isolation is this lady standing by the orange. It would have been a perfect shot. I missed it by a second or two. She was sitting down eating. I still think that what I was trying to represent here is covered when it comes to the stature and size of this building that is decorated to be an orange, while still capturing that isolating feeling that I seem to like so much in my pictures. And the second photo that I really enjoy is these flags in the wind. Unbelievably simple, not a lot going on when it comes to context, not knowing where you are, but I think that the clouds being in the back and the blue being towards the bottom of the frame gives it a very painterly or painter-esque feeling to it when it comes to how gentle the transfer is or gradient is in the clouds in the sky. Then having this motif that seemed to be going around the entire parking lot. The D700 is a beast, but it has some heft. This is where the D200 shines. I didn't have many problems holding the camera or putting it around my neck for long periods of times. Now it comes with an asterisk because no matter what, that type of weight on your neck, being a heavier camera, it does still weigh on you. But it took quite some time. It took quite some repetition. But a lot of times, because the camera is a little bit smaller, I always like to hold it in my hand anyways and have the neck strap wrapped around my arm. So it wasn't too much of a problem when it came to that weight and balance overall. And like we hinted to before, the weight that you are losing does now make that sensor a little bit smaller. And I feel as though the sensor did a great job when it came to holding up on details, when it came to cropping, punching in, and finding things that are a little bit more interesting within the pictures. But there is an area that it didn't do that great in, but I'll talk about that later. So as always, we have a lot of pictures from botanical gardens. So of course I went to Montreal and got more. My favorite pairing has to be the geese and the turtle because of the greens. I think that the picture with the geese is a lot more simplistic. It does feel like a snapshot. I like that the red is off to the left-hand side, the geese are in the middle, and then you have a foreground that is detached from everything else. So I feel like it's broken down in 3 levels, which makes it a little bit more interesting, plus the movement of the water breaks up the stillness that could have been in that area. But the far more interesting but simplistic photo for me is the turtle. I looked down and there was a bunch of turtles on the perimeter of the water. And I saw this growing outward, almost like it was reaching out to the water and then it stopped in contrast with the dirt. And seeing the turtle right on the perimeter or the line between the water and the dirt, I think makes it somewhat of a focal point that you might not see immediately because it's so small. But the greens and the yellow of the grass between both pictures tie them together and make them a contrast. The red shed I love. I love the red shed because of its texture, the way that it's buried in with the trees and everything else again. And then the lock. If the lock had different lighting, or maybe the lighting is okay right now, but the silver, the red, the cream of the unbelievably worn door, next to and in contrast, now that I'm seeing this tan or brown that seems almost untouched. Um, Once again, a very, very simple photo. But I like the fact that it shows that humans were here, people were here, damage was done. Not who we know who it is, but it's very textured and simplistic in that way. And I really enjoy it. Lastly, even though this was not technically in the gardens, it was across the street. We have the second main character out of all the photos that I've taken, and the last main character of him doing a manual, starting off an ollie, whatever he's doing down there, with this huge skate park and huge Olympian something in the background. I think that the contrast when it comes to the tan, red, bluish green from the building, I think that it's once again something very, very large, made extremely simplistic and easily digestible. And I think that that's a trend that you can continuously see across all these pictures. Reason number 3. It wouldn't be a D200 video if I didn't speak about the sensor and the color that this camera pushes out. But Zombie in the comments made a great point. Why does everyone talk about how amazing the color is if they're just going to toss it into Lightroom and adjust it based off of how they enjoy it? Then Cody chimed in sharing requirements. Now, the white balance that I personally chose was horrible for indoors, but fantastic for outdoors. So I wouldn't say that any of the really bad pictures were the camera's fault. It was definitely human error in what I punched in. But the photos that I got unedited with the proper situation due to the settings were beautiful, just like any other situation. But I think I might have the next video be about that, so I won't go too deep. Even though the colors were fantastic, the sensor size started to show its areas of opportunity. When I was editing in post, it seemed as though if you are underexposed, you can try your best to bring them back, but they'll feel a little bland. If you are overexposed, they'll be completely fried and the entire image will be horrible if you try to bring it down. Now, of course, this is something that I'm supposed to control. It goes back to other aspects, this and that. So you once again can't blame the camera too much. But this is not a problem that I feel like I've ever had with the D700. But obviously the smaller sensor size is a big factor of why this is happening. So it's one tiny little gripe that I will still be giving to the D700. But like I said, when I proper exposed, I started to get photos that I really enjoy, like this mini entrepot. I don't know if this is storage, parking. I looked it up before, but I honestly forgot. Like I said before, I always love to attempt a 2-picture, 3-picture situation so that I can pair everything together. And I think the flat on shot here works a lot better. And I think that the colors and everything merge it very well. Now, color-wise, this is my favorite picture from the trip by far. By far. Paul's Boutique. The yellow in this picture, the contrast of the red, the green roof, the tan or goldish brown that's the top for the window. Off to the left is this maroon or pinkish color that you can honestly fall in love with because of the mannequin and drapery that's in front of the window. When it comes to color, when it comes to isolation, when it comes to having a small subject that isn't human, seeing the people in it, when it comes to the graffiti on top of the building, I mean, the placement of the albums and books that aren't fully filled, love this one by far. Even in the way I just expressed talking about it, I really, really like this photo. Even the font not being right, it's really nice. The mask in the window, isolation, objects that are for people, and then 3 photos. I think that this one fits the baseline of images that I'm looking for. While on my trip, I realized that I kept taking photos of a similar subject, and it was seating. Chairs, seats, seating areas, absent of people. Having different colors, different lighting, different sizes, and all these other things, I realized that this might be a photo project that I want to start. And it's also something easy enough where I wouldn't have to necessarily be hunting for it. It would just be something that I can often come across and show a large interest in. Like I've been saying this whole video, that whole form of isolation and other videos, I called it, say, like a ghostly feeling that I wanted to create overall. Chairs are literally perfect for that story that I'm trying to create. So here's my pictures of chairs. Wow. You've made it all the way to the end. I want to thank you first off for watching the video, but I also want the end of the video to be an area where I can speak directly to people watching. So I want this to be a carved out area that can be special for us, that I can have a conversation with you guys, especially with the new growth and the new subscribers from my last video. For today, I want to ask you guys, when was your last photo project? What was it? How did it go? Do you have one that you're thinking about in the future? Right now, like I said, a small one, of course, is the chairs and seating area, and then figuring out where I want to go there. While my bigger one that I need to get back on, that's been on this channel, is show and tell. Only having 2 people so far, so I need to figure that out. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you made it this far, or if you just like the video for me. I really appreciate your view. I'm out, y'all. Peace.